For today's Cup of Joe, we're talking about whether you think you might be too boring for your brand. And I'm bringing this up because I'm currently working through 6 weeks with my awesome group of brilliant Reloaded people who are brave enough to work with me to really unpack their messaging and their brand. The cat was going to actually hear him be he's really loud in the cat flap. And we're starting to look at what I call the personal power paradigm and what makes them and how to amplify that in their messaging. And if a few of the ahas that have just come in the first day or so is that people realize how much they already know, how awesome they are, and how we need to hear about all those quirks of your personality in your brand. And here's why. Okay, you can quite often feel like, well, it seems like everyone else is out there traveling the world and living a laptop lifestyle in Bali, or maybe they're, living a whole, digital nomad thing, and I'm just at home being a mum with my kids and my cat and, doing my business there. Actually, people who love you and your brand want to hear that stuff because not everybody resonates with a lifestyle that is too dissimilar to theirs. So by you really owning who you are and what you do, it really helps the right people to find you. Okay, so my audience and my clients know that, because of my health issues, I can quite often be found on that sofa, right, with the cat. Okay, but that doesn't, take away from the fact that kind of other times I'm going to be, morning raving, I'm going to be going to gigs, I'm going to be going to art galleries, I'm going to be traveling. I'm a mixture. So there's lots of stuff going on with me, and also the stuff, I use my language in my marketing and my content very much around, all the things of my personality that, that I love. Morning, Katrina, thank you. I guess the rainbow hair is back. So people will, read my copy and quite often hear about flat whites or my cheesy music, or you hear about my cats, you'll hear about, what I'm reading. So my mixture of nerdery and creative thinker and mum and spoony, all of that stuff gets mixed in with my message because it's all me, right? So a piece of copy from me will be very different from a sales page or piece of copy from somebody else. Okay, so it's really important that you reconnect with who you are, which sounds really basic, but it's actually something that we just don't do that often. And in fact, I just spoke to my group who went through the very first exercise, which took literally probably half an hour to 45 minutes. And a lot of them said they felt exhausted afterwards. They felt really sleepy. And when I dug into that, I said, why? What is it that's going on? And they said, it's because we don't often spend time looking at our own brand and our business. And it's something that we resist, isn't it, over and over? And I'm sure you can probably say hands up, yes, I avoid doing that. If you know that you need to be working on your messaging, suddenly it becomes really hard to find that time, doesn't it? And we'd rather be doing the hoovering, or there's a really important phone call that we need to make, or, we resist really looking at our brand and our, messaging. So it's a really interesting part of the process to realize that you don't need to be like a lot of leaders we see in the market and in the online space. You just need to look at being you and turning up those parts of your personality online. So you might have maybe you have a sneaky train spotting like a hobby. Okay, that'd be something quirky to really, talk about in your copy. Maybe you are just like a live wire during the day, but then nighttime you're there with the slanket on and you're, binge watching on Netflix. Tell us that, right? Own that, because people will really connect with you and who you are. And actually, we often connect with people that mirror some parts of ourselves. If we're like, oh my God, thank goodness that someone's saying that that they also go home at night and, get the blanket on and just chill out, and they're not kind of, hustling until 3 a.m. You are going to resonate with people whose message really attracts you, right? And this is how we also attract the right clients, by talking about these pieces of your brand and these pieces of you that make you you. So if you, for example, are a really keen gardener, Okay, it might not be part of what you do with your business, but it's part of you that we can sort of pepper some language with that. We can talk about what you've been doing. And it's also, as much as anything, it's a great trigger for stories about your business and what you do. All right, so you can never be too boring to be brilliant in your brand. And in fact, one of my clients recently, we had a one-to-one session, and shout out to Matt on this one, but he's a tarot card reader, okay? And in Matt's market, in Matt's space, it's very much, it's usually female-led. It's very kind of woo, and you expect someone to be, dressed in a certain way and acting a certain way. Matt's a really normal guy. So with Matt, he's the kind of guy you could easily sit down with, have a cup of tea and just talk to. So I was like, dude, that's what you need to amp up in your brand, that you're normal. Amp up that you are different from the rest in your market, because you are just a down-to-earth guy. So while you're looking at your quirks and your pieces of personality, hi Matt, thank you. How can someone with hair be that boring? Exactly. So while you were looking at your pieces of your personality that you can amp up, also be looking at what's happening in your market, what's happening around you. How are people, portraying themselves? Because, hey, Joes, right, okay, tell me about that. What's happening in your market, right? Because if you look at how other people are positioning themselves, right, that's one piece of it. Look at what's being said, look at how people are positioning themselves, then you can find out where you fit in. And Josephine, that's amazing. And I happen to know Josephine fairly well. We worked together years ago, and she's awesome. All right, my darling. But that's amazing that if part of your approach in your brand is that you're normal but super spiritual, amazing. That is where you can really amp that up, right? That's where, I happen to know that Josephine is also really creative. She's a mum. She's running her business, right? She's got loads to her. I also happen to know that Josephine was a graphic designer in a former life. She loves textile design. Sorry, Jose, I'm now using you. Because we work together, and she's incredibly talented. I know that about her. But these are things that you can pull out in your messaging, and not only your messaging, but in your visual content as well. So Josephine might choose to use some amazing textile patterns and some, really creative stuff in her graphics, because that also reflects who she is. And, for you, Josephine, as well, so coming out spiritual might feel weird to normal people in your life, right? But for your clients, they, and for the right clients who you're attracting, they're probably fairly new, maybe, perhaps they're new to the woo, right? Perhaps they're just stepping out themselves. And so for you not to be kind of, full on dressed in your wicker kind of outfit while you're doing, sort of client sessions, you're just normal chick, really creative, awesome chick with a family who also happens to be, firmly in the spiritual world, right? So there's loads of ways that you can look at your brand and your positioning, right? And even if you feel so boring, believe me, guys, I am really boring, really boring in my daily life, right? Literally, it's like school run, work with you guys, which I love, and then it's making dinner, and yes, I do some cool stuff in my life, of course I do. Yes, I have some great trips, we've just been snowboarding, and yes, I love to have fun. But in my day-to-day life, I look to people online and think, oh my god, like they seem to be doing some really cool stuff. But it's okay to be honest about the fact that you're not doing really cool stuff all the time. Thank you so much to Sharon, who's just shouted out that I helped her ignite her brilliance, tap into her brilliance over the last year. Sharon, you are more than welcome. You are a superstar. You are so lovely, and it's amazing watching you fly. I've so enjoyed working with you. Josephine is totally approachable, right? And she's so lovely, and that is, a big part of her messaging. Michael, you've got a black eye. That's brilliant. Turn that into a story with your content. Josephine, okay, so if you're feeling totally confused by your branding and messages, you have so many angles, this is where you need to be really cohesive with how you talk about things, okay? And this is where, my group who are going through, this live process at the moment will be showing more of their ahas. But if you look at all the ways that you work, bring all those together and think about it as your proprietary method. That's the Josephine approach, right? So maybe you're bringing in, I don't know, NLP and Reiki and, it's like a therapy and coaching. I'm just guessing, joke, because I don't know. But if you bring in all those things, what is the end result for the client? Is the client feeling, do they have more clarity? Do they have more direction? What do they do? So you can start to pull those things together and talk about it as the end result for your client. It becomes clearer for you and it becomes clearer for them. Okay, so so there we go, guys. If you think you are super, super boring, I would love for you to sit down for 15 minutes and brainstorm under these titles: your experience, expertise, approach, and personality. All right. Your experience being all the jobs you've ever had, all the careers you've had, if you like me with a portfolio career. Your expertise being things you have particular skills in, your qualifications, all that sort of stuff. Your approach, how you do things, your take on things, and your personality, right? And these will really guide, it's such a simple framework to really guide how you communicate with your brand and your messaging, online and off. And it also really guides how you formulate your language around the way that you talk about yourself, and you hone down on your messaging. And also, guys, the best bit is you get loads of confidence, because you'll read that list and you're like, dang, I know my stuff. Yeah, I'm awesome. Yes, I'm really boring and I just watch Netflix of an evening, or I sit and do, I don't know, tapestry or whatever, and it seems really boring compared to everyone else online. But it's not boring to your clients who need you. It's not boring to the right people who are waiting for you, all right? Your people, because here's the thing, when you start working with someone, if you are suddenly a completely different personality to the one that they've seen curated in your marketing material, there's going to be a disconnect, right? So you need to really show who you are, how you work in a really powerful way. And obviously we're going to amp up the awesome things here and there, as opposed to really amping up your, sort of fifth nap of a day, maybe. But you can really start to talk about who you are. So Josephine says, I feel like I should have a really strong brand, but I don't seem to be getting traction. This takes time as well, and there's loads of things around getting traction that I can cover in some more lives. It takes time also for you to really step into what your brilliance is, because your brilliance is that meeting point between, what's not being said in the market, what is being said, your expertise, your take on things. That little nugget there is your piece of pie. It's your own market that you can really talk about. It's your take on things. So therefore you aren't competing against everybody else, because you are just being you with this combination of skills, with this, with this approach for these people. Right? So you can really magnetize, repel, and attract your audience. But guys, you are not too boring to be brilliant. So I would love to hear in the comments below, if you're watching now or if you're watching the replay, how you feel about going through that exercise, your expertise, experience, approach, and personality, what I call your personal power and paradigm. So the guys in my group are going through that, and they're getting some great ahas right now. So I'll be sharing their progress over the next few weeks as we really hone down on the brand, so you can watch in real time how they get on. So thank you so much for being here, as always. Really delighted to have you on the live, guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye.